Fox News confirmed over the weekend reports that Russia has asked China for military and economic aid in the war against Ukraine. The request came after dictator Putin launched his invasion. A spokesperson for China's embassy in Washington, D.C. says he knows of no such request from Moscow. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says Beijing would pay big time for teaming up with Russia.
We are communicating directly, privately to Beijing that there will absolutely be consequences for large-scale sanctions evasion efforts or support to Russia to backfill them. We will not allow that to go forward and allow there to be a lifeline to Russia from these economic sanctions from any country anywhere in the world.
Ron Johnson, Republican senator from the great state of Wisconsin, is in focus now. He's a member of the Senate Foreign Relations and Homeland Security Committees. Senator, thank you for being with me. Let's start there. I would say, based on what we know and what we saw at the Olympics and the reporting that she was asking Putin, don't go to war with Ukraine until after the Olympics. He didn't want to take the shine off of his event over there, that they're already pretty cozy. When the White House says they won't allow this and won't allow that if they get together, are they a dollar late on this?
Well, first of all, I think China has to be very careful. China is dependent on its exports to the rest of the world. It relies on the fact that they're part of the World Trading Organization. When you take a look at what Russia is doing, they're committing atrocities, they're committing war crimes. China has to take a look at how the world has rallied to support the courageous Ukrainian people. And if they give aid and comfort to Russia, if they help them, even economically, take all their oil resources to provide financial resources to help Russia continue these war crimes, these atrocities, the rest of the world, I believe, will react. And so China needs to be very, very careful. We realize it's an authoritarian regime. We realize that it does not respect the human rights of its own citizens. But what Russia is doing in Ukraine, the world is noticing. And we have a great deal of economic strength and might to certainly be used against Russia. I mean, the Western economies are well over $30 trillion. Russia's somewhere between 2 and 3, but they have nuclear weapons and they have oil. China is a much larger economy, but that economy depends on interacting with the world, and the world will take action if China supports Russia.
You know, I want to ask you about something else, because I know this is your expertise. So when you say that China depends on interacting economically with the rest of the world, I mean, they need us to buy all the stuff that we buy. We get pharmaceuticals. I mean, all through the pandemic, all that was talked about was how do we decouple from China? But they seem like a culture who also wants to be looked upon as, you know, a world superpower who has the capability of leading many. I don't know if you know, siding with Putin, a killer right now on the world stage all over Twitter and everything else, doesn't take you back a peg.
China is worried about their image, and they need to understand that their image is being tarnished even further by literally their lack of response. They should be forcefully coming out against what Russia is doing, but they're not. Now, can we decouple from China overnight? No, but you begin the process. And in many respects, we have begun the process. You know, as wages have increased in China, manufacturers have moved out of China. As China has become more authoritarian, as people perceive a greater risk of doing business with China, manufacturers move out of China. That would just continue. I think that would probably pick up speed. China's playing a very dangerous game, staying pretty much mute as it comes to the atrocities and the war crimes committed by, I guess, their friend, Russia.
I want to get to gas prices. One more on this. If they get in the game with Russia in any way, shape, or form militarily, what do we do about that?
Just what I was describing. I think you start taking action. I can't lay it all out in detail, but you start isolating China as well. Russia's a pariah state. China risks becoming one as well.
I understand. There are certain things that you cannot say. And the reason that I go down that road is because over the weekend, China also made a statement that pretty much said, keep your hands away from Taiwan. It's ours. It's 100 miles east of the mainland of China. We've always known that they'd like that democracy back under, the ROC in a more significant way, the Republic of China. Your thoughts?
Well, we certainly need to provide Taiwan the weapons they need to defend themselves. Taiwan represents no threat to China. Ukraine represented no threat to Russia. It's totally appropriate for other freedom-loving people to provide those freedom-loving people the weapons to defend themselves. One thing we could do immediately is restart the China initiative to make sure that China can't steal our intellectual property from our universities. But that's the Biden administration stopped the China initiative that was in the Department of Justice investigating, trying to prevent China stealing our intellectual property. It's beyond comprehension what the Biden administration is doing.
Yeah,
they're causing so much harm to this country. Their policies, they've weakened America, and it's that weakness that our adversaries are taking advantage of.
Yeah, I recall the former President Trump talking a lot about that intellectual property and hitting them with those investigations, the importance of that. Let's talk about the pain at the pump. We're paying some of the highest gas prices per gallon in American history. The national average is now $4.32 per gallon, nearly $2 more since President Biden took office. So well before, 16, 17 days ago when the war on Ukraine started by Russia. And this is all on top of runaway inflation. Here are some Americans who say they've had enough. They can't take it anymore.
It's pretty bad with things going up as they are.
I got probably, 6 or 7 items, and it cost me $40.
It's made gas prices go up, which makes everything else go up. Groceries, airline tickets, stops at the food mart and the gas stations. And I think it's a problem for the middle class and poor.
A Wall Street Journal poll finds 58% of people say inflation is causing them major or minor financial stress. Senator Johnson.
Well, this didn't just happen. Higher gas prices, higher energy prices, a 40-year high in inflation, 7.9%. That is the direct result of Democrat policies. Their war on fossil fuel, their green energy fantasy. Listen, I'm for an all-of-the-above energy strategy, but that should also focus on nuclear power. But the enormous prices in gasoline, that's just the most visible sign of the disastrous impact of Democrat energy policies. Across the board, we're driving up energy prices. Energy affects everything we buy. It's also fueling inflation. We need fossil fuels to power our economy. You can't do it simply on solar and wind. And we also see how we put our electrical grid at risk, as we witnessed in Texas when it got a little too cold, and we averted a real serious problem. They were able to get that grid back up and running before it really created problems. So across the board, Democrat policies that relates to energy make America more vulnerable. It's driving up prices across the board, not just in gasoline. It's harming Americans. I hope Americans are paying attention and waking up.
Look, there's no doubt about it that the last couple of weeks have put some pressure on things as Russia was turning up the price on crude barrels. Now we're not getting our oil from Russia, according to the White House. So we understand that. But the White House seems to leave out all of the parts that you talked about and blame it only on Putin. And real quick, and then I've got to go.
Well, unfortunately, they're backed up by the mainstream media, who are basically the communication apparatus of the Democrat Party. So you can't really trust the Democrats to tell you the truth. You can't trust the mainstream media to tell you the truth. So I appreciate this opportunity. I hope more people listen to Fox News because they'll actually find out what's happening. People have to awaken to the urgency of the moment.
Senator Johnson, thank you very much. Good to see you today. Appreciate your time.
Have a good day.
You too.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.